host here on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. I'm Mike Gill, Tom Morgan, recapping another edition of Raw and taking a look ahead. The UK Raw, which is typically a great crowd, but not presented with a great product, as some good matches, but not a lot of storyline development here going on. But, some good stuff last night in terms of the actual action, but pretty flat show overall.
Well, the beginning started out really good. You get a hometown heroes here, Bad News Barrett and Paige coming in the first two matches. Bad News Barrett, of course, challenging John Cena for the United States Championship.
Good match, too.
Yeah, it was a decent match, too. Bad News Barrett's getting much better, too, by the way, and I think he was really working the crowd. And Paige winning the Divas Battle Royal, no surprise there. She, of course, is going to be challenging Nikki Bella for the Divas title at Extreme Rules.
Yeah, the crowd was great last night, letting Cena know that they weren't very appreciative of his character at this stage of his life. And he's good, though. He plays back with them, and he gets them on his side by saying WrestleMania should be here. But overall, we know that Cena's going to be facing Rusev in an Extreme Rules match. Right. So everything leading up to that, it's going to be Cena winning.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, you never know. I mean, I've been a fan of Rusev losing to Cena at WrestleMania, Rusev winning at Extreme Rules. I've been a fan of that idea.
Right, but I'm talking about leading up to this.
But leading up to it,
know that Cena's not going to lose the belt.
Right.
And going to Extreme Rules.
Right. Yeah,
so you're just getting some good, solid matches, getting some work in.
Sure.
And, I can appreciate that. Obviously, as you mentioned, the countrymen got their chances to display their talents in front. Paige.
Right at the beginning, too, which is perfect.
And Paige came out and she won, but you also saw Naomi kind of turn. And we'll see, I guess, they needed another stronger character with AJ gone. So we'll see where that leads. And maybe some NXT divas coming up in the future now.
I was hoping for some NXT stars during the Battle Royal. That would have been great.
To enter them into that Battle Royal. That's a good point.
But hey, what are you going to do? Now we've got Neville that's getting some hot stuff going on. Of course, we'll talk about that later on. After that, we got the Sin Cara and against the Ascension. We're talking about the Lucha Dragons here. I love this tag team, by the way. Finally,
NXT, man.
Sin Cara's got something.
That was an NXT match, by the way.
Yeah, it was. It was excellent.
That was Lucha Dragons against the Ascension. The Ascension, by the way, had the NXT belt for a year, and then the Lucha Dragons beat them because the Ascension came up to the main roster.
Yeah, right.
But
it's just like Jim Ross said when we were hanging out with him in Philadelphia, that the NXT product now, the NXT product now is what the WWE is going to be, or needs to be rather. And
right now, let's kind of talk about that. You don't get to see NXT, but of all the products out there, because there's a ton. I mean, if you're a wrestling fan, you can watch Monday Night Raw, you can watch NXT on Wednesday nights on the network, you can watch TNA on Friday nights, you can also watch New Japan if you have, I think it's on Access Channel on Friday nights.
Yeah. You
can watch the Lucha Underground, which is on the El Rey network. Now, some people have that if you have Dish or something.
Right.
You can get that on Wednesday nights in English. If you're like me and have the El Rey network, it's on Saturdays in Spanish.
Why don't we just take your DVR and just empty it out,
Well, that's the problem. My DVR is so full with stuff. The old TV 40 station?
Right.
There's a wrestling show on there, Booker T's wrestling. Yeah. So if you just go in your DVR and hit search and put wrestling in or lucha, you'll find different things that you can watch. But right now, I got to tell you, the NXT show on Wednesday nights is the best show out there. It is the best show out there. And you're right. These guys are really getting time. You'll talk about the Fandango match later, but he was out there for 45 seconds against Stardust. I mean, those guys are getting a good 12 minutes to 15 minutes to do their stuff, and that's what I'm really, enjoying about that. And with Neville, he put on a great match, but he's lost twice. I hope they're not bringing him up here to kind of be a jobber type of guy. I don't think they are, but
I don't think so either. But I mean, I think hopefully they're going to build him up in a way that they're not going to rush him to any kind of titles or that sort of thing. His debut on Raw, he didn't win the Intercontinental title or even the World title for that matter. So
he'd be cool though if he got into an Intercontinental program with Daniel Bryan.
Absolutely.
How would that match?
And you know what? He's already wrestled Seth Rollins. He wrestled Dolph Ziggler.
It was a good match.
It was a great match. So, hey, listen, let's get him in the mix of those things and get him going. He's already a crowd favorite. Roman Reigns, of course, answering to finally the match with Brock Lesnar, a few trash talking Big Show comes out, ends up slamming Roman Reigns on top of a British car, which was kind of cool.
The old taxi.
The old taxi. Yeah, so are we ready for yet another Big Show Roman Reigns feud here?
I was last week on Pillar to Post. I talked about it. I don't want to see this again, but it seems like that's the way they're going to go. So, no, I'm not excited about it. But the only thing I could say is maybe they recognize that Reigns needs more work and that a veteran like Big Show can help him out.
What do you think about Bray Wyatt and a Roman Reigns feud? There was rumors going around that this feud could be happening, and that's what Bray Wyatt is insinuating with his promos. I think that could bring out the best
new face
of
of
Reigns.
fear.
The new face of fear, yeah.
Well, they're trying to kind of have him be the new Undertaker.
Right. Taking out the love, bringing in the fear was the promo, and that I think they could bring out the best in Roman Reigns. You know, if we
I wouldn't be overly excited about that, but it depends on how they work the tag.
Right.
Because right now it seems like you got two guys that are just completely on different ends of the spectrum. Like, how are they getting into some... And that goes back to what we talked about last week with the Money in the Bank.
Right.
You know, if Bray Wyatt ends up getting that Money in the Bank and Roman Reigns is one of the guys, like, you know, in the way of getting to that championship, then maybe. But how are they getting themselves there? And that's the big challenge here is right now with Brock Lesnar off, you know, you need somebody that is a higher level guy because I don't know now how does Reigns ascend if there's nobody that you believe in.
Right.
You know, he can't just fight Rollins. Who's his next guy? There's not really that next guy on the roster that really makes you excited and believe. The biggest problem that Reigns is having right now is you're having a hard time believing in him.
Yeah, no, you really do. And other than his size and, of course, his family history, that's the only thing going for him. And, of course, the shield that he had.
So give it to you. Who do you want to see? If we don't like Big Show,
right.
who do you want to see? You like Bray Wyatt?
It started growing me a little bit. When I first read that, I was like, yeah, you know, but then Bray Wyatt can bring out the best in someone like Roman Reigns. I think those could have some potentially great matches. But who else do you think Bray Wyatt is talking to other than a Roman Reigns? Who would you like to see Bray Wyatt have a feud with?
I would think that, I don't know how they would get there, but I would think a Bray Wyatt-Randy Orton feud would be pretty cool.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
With two guys who were kind of like in the gray area, like, you know, which they're not really heat faces per se. The fans like them, and their characters aren't heel characters, but they have heelish, traits to them. I think those two would have some pretty cool, like, psychology battles in the middle of their promos and stuff. Yeah. Not that Orton's great on the mic, but you know, it would. I think that would be a pretty cool thing. It's like, who am I cheering for here? Who's you know?
Yeah. Well, and again, he was talking about taking out the love and in with the fear. So I'm hoping that we're not going to see another John Cena feud. I don't see that happening. So obviously, Randy Orton would be great. Randy Orton, of course, by winner by disqualification, beats Cesaro, but then later on ends up being a handicap match. Yeah. Randy Orton versus Cesaro.
And that was all set up weird because Kane came out and, do what's best for business. Kane was conflicted on whether or not he should lay down. The confusing
part of Raw begins here, by the way. Where everyone's like, what the hell is going on here?
Well, because Kane was kind of conflicted. Originally, Rollins had said, I'll fight Mercury, not Mercury, what's the other?
Jamie Noble.
And Noble was like, me? And he's like, all right, Kane, you'll take the pin.
Right.
Kane was kind of conflicted. So it looks like we're getting another Kane face turn for about the 300th time. We'll see.
And Big Show, man. I mean, they are like alternates, like seasons, man. They really
two
are.
Right.
Yeah. And we kind of suspected one of them was going to do something. I think, the whole Big Show Kane thing and the frustration building up in Kane, I don't know. I kind of like those two big men being and staying with the Authority.
Well, the question is, like, we don't like John Cena's character. It's been the same character for 10 years. It's like, all right, we get you.
Right.
Now, where can these... It's all about character development and evolving your character. The Undertaker was a guy who was dead. And then he became, like, he was the guy who was, like, the parlor shop guy, when he started. Then he became, a little bit more dark. He took off the purple, leggings and stuff. And he didn't have, like, the white face paint on because his face used to be really, white. And then he became the biker guy. Mm-hmm. Then he went back. He's kind of morphed his character, evolved his character, but he's always been that Undertaker character.
Sure.
Big Show has kind of been the Big Show. Kane is now this corporate Kane. Where can he evolve this character to? And if you just keep flipping them back and forth, that's where it kind of becomes,
And do you remember it was like this time last year, he went from like corporate Kane, corporate Kane, demon Kane, like
the mask.
I'm going to bring out the mask out, and as if he's going to change radically with the mask, and I thought the WWE was getting away from that cartoon stuff. Listen, I love the Demon Kane, but leave the mask on him or leave it off. And I think that hopefully if they put the mask back on him, leave it on. And back and forth stuff, it just gets confusing as the years continue on. Randy Orton, of course, won that handicap match,
and that started the conflict because all right, great idea, and then he wins,
right?
And boom,
right. So there you have it. And then we had a sleeper, Adam Rose versus Dean Ambrose.
Adam Rose,
man, he had so much hype behind him. Then he's just
terrible ring attire last night, by the way, too. The black and white vertical striped pants, not a good look for you, Adam Rose.
Stardust versus Fandango, a short match, but then we see the return of the original Fandango, which I loved. I mean, listen, I don't know why they got rid of it to begin with. I guess the crowd wasn't catching on except the Northeast.
Think about this guy. He gets a WrestleMania moment by beating Jericho in WrestleMania 29.
Which I was there for. And I remember that. I was pissed.
After that, Monday Night Raw the next night, his music is everywhere. I mean, it's on like Today's Show. It's everywhere.
And everybody's doing it,
And then
it just died.
He just died.
Right.
And then they repackage him into this dark character. He is a great talker, by the way.
He's really good.
The fact that he can keep a straight face with some of the stuff that he does is awesome. But yeah, he became the Fandango from the start with the old music back. So we'll see. I guess they're rebranding and repackaging back to his original character. So we'll see where that goes.
I hope it works.
It looks like he's splitting from Rosa Mendez, though.
Yeah, which, okay.
She doesn't do it for me, sorry.
Really didn't.
Still a Page guy at heart.
We ended up moving on to Seth Rollins versus Kane. We had a few backstage things going on between Daniel Bryan and Kane. Daniel Bryan saying, be a man or be the monster that you were.
Yeah. It's a good story they told in the ring, though.
Yeah, it is.
Because Kane's conflicted. He doesn't know what to do.
Right.
He, goes down. He's sitting. He ends like, I don't want to do this. You can see it. So they told a good story in the ring, and that's what wrestling is. It's telling a good story and really developing the characters. And the character is conflicted, and you're there with them, and you're like, don't do it. And that's where you kind of suspend the disbelief for a little while, and it becomes an entertaining product. And he ends up beating Rollins up, and then just laying down and putting his arm over him. So that it was like, I didn't just lay down and take it. I gave it to you.
Yeah.
And I did what's best for business in the end. So I thought it was a really good story they told.
And lots, I guess they're trying their best to move on to the next season of the WWE season by doing all this. So we have, which is crazy to say, Seth Rollins versus Kane. Kane is up for a chokeslam a couple times on Seth Rollins. And finally, we have Seth Rollins win, and Kane eventually lays down.
Yeah, and again, he actually chokeslams Rollins. Rollins is out.
Right.
Kane lays down and takes Rollins' arm and places it over him.
Right.
So he takes the pin. But obviously, it could set up another turn, as we talked about earlier in this Pillar to Post, which we'll see what happens with Kane next week. But not a lot of compelling stories in last night's show, but some interesting storytelling in the ring. I think the J&J Security got involved in the match a little bit, but nothing earth-shattering with the main event picture last night.
Here's what's disappointing. They're really putting The Miz versus Damien Sandow a lot on Raw. I think they did this last Monday, too. They're doing it again tonight, or last night, rather. I really think this would have been a pay-per-view
match. I agree with you.
Now he's walking away with Summer now. The Miz's wife, everybody knows they're still married. So
No.
Yeah.
Miz is not married to Summer.
Yeah, okay.
He's married to Maurice.
Never mind. Yeah.
He upgraded big time.
He did.
Summer is a character that's just annoying. If you watch the Total Diva show, she's just not a likable person.
See, that just shows how much I know about the backstage stuff and who's married and who's not.
But I don't like the fact that they're pairing her up with Mizdow, because I thought that, look, I think if you're right, that should have been a pay-per-view match. And if they let Mizdow become Sandow, I think he's got some talent and can develop into something.
Absolutely.
But I think they've kind of messed this particular feud up, and they have a chance to fix it.
Right. Yeah, they really do. And
decent match, though.
But it's they had all this build up, and now they've got these matches going on in the last couple of weeks. Ryback winning by disqualification. Once again, he was facing Luke Harper. Dean Ambrose comes in, starts trading blows with Luke Harper. The fallout from the Intercontinental ladder match from WrestleMania.
Yeah, and Ryback is interesting because you said last week we talked about he was just kind of thrown into that triple threat match, and now he's jumping back into the Intercontinental.
Which I never understood why
they ruined the Ryback character, and they've never been able to really save it. They've got it to like a decent level, but not back to where it was. That thing was on like the Goldberg level,
right?
When he came in, and literally he was getting the Goldberg chance. He got past the Goldberg chance. The problem is he has now put himself out of the Goldberg status of being a main eventer.
And of course, Dolph Ziggler versus Neville. We talked about that earlier.
Match.
Great match. That was the match of the night, actually, next to the Bad News Barrett and John Cena match.
Don't know where they're going with Ziggler though.
I don't know either. I wish they would either put a title on him or just I guess he wins some, he loses some. We have of course the new and improved, I guess you want to call it, Sheamus coming out with his.
Well, he came at the end of that match, right?
And Mohawk, and came up after that match and bro kicked everybody. I really hope they don't squash Neville, as we talked about earlier. And then, of course, the stipulation for Extreme Rules: Randy Orton cannot RKO anybody. The RKO is banned. So that's it. I mean, ladder match.
Well, and as Rollins said, like, you're without that RKO, you're nobody.
Right.
You're just another guy. So I guess that was kind of the, how many ladder matches can you do? How many? In fact, the Rusev Cena match they announced earlier is going to be like a Russian chain
match. Yeah, right.
So I guess your wrestling's been around for a long time. You're running out of stipulations. You're running out of things that are intriguing. You're running out of things that are interesting. So hey, why not take your finishing move out and see what happens?
And we've seen some matches that are like that they couldn't do certain moves. So it should be interesting. But you know what? Sometimes when it ain't broke, you don't have to fix it. And some of the matches that were ladder matches or whatever matches, they had.
That's the problem with the ladder match, though. You're not going to redo Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, Dudley Boys from WrestleMania, whatever. Was that 19?
19, yeah. And with matches like that, you only have to say to yourself, well, it has to be better than that if you're going to do a match like that, because that's your expectations, and you can't get better than that. So that's a good point. But so we'll just have to wait and see. I think Extreme Rules looks like an okay pay-per-view. Hey, it's a lot better than Fastlane.
Free network.
Yeah, and WWE Network.
April, it's free. So, hey, check it out.
He gets an endorsement. He's got to get an endorsement somewhere in there.
Check it out, my WWE Network viewing of the week. I've been watching a lot of the network, by the way. If you're not watching NXT, it's worth $9.99 a month. I'm telling you, that alone is worth the $9.99 a month. I've been watching Tough Enough Season 2 right now. They're bringing Tough Enough back, but Tough Enough Season 2, I'm on like the final episode right now. It was, who was in Tough Enough Season 2?
I was about to ask you, was this the one with Jamie Noble?
No.
Maven?
No. It was Kenny King, who's now in TNA.
Okay.
He was in that one. He didn't win. It was 2 girls won, and one was Miss Jackie.
Right. Wow.
And there was 2 girls that won. I don't remember the other girl. I can't remember the names, but there was a guy in it, and he had kind of a weird hairdo, and But I've been watching. They're bringing Tough Enough back. It's going to be on USA. And by the way, SmackDown is moving to USA, which means could they streamline now storyline?
Yes. In fact, that they are going to do that, and I think that's very smart. The SmackDown product in general has been hard to watch. First of all, it's on Friday nights,
Thursdays.
Or no, it's on Thursdays now, but it was on Fridays. They originally had it Thursday, moved it to Friday. I stopped watching it when they moved it to Friday because everyone's out anyways. It's kind of a
well. That's the problem with TNA now is that number one, it's on a bad network, and it's on Friday nights.
It's on Friday nights. But then
I used to watch TNA Thursday nights. I watched it. Now I DVR it, and I just
don't watch it. Yeah, and then SmackDown usually was kind of like the minor leagues a little bit. Your Raw roster was your main roster, your SmackDown roster. They had the roster splits. Now they can streamline the stories. That's what they used to do when SmackDown first got started. It goes back to my original statement: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think that's a great move, and hopefully they'll do that.
Well, if you remember back to the WCW days, what really killed WCW to some extent was when they went with Thunder. Mm-hmm. None of the main guys wanted to go to Thunder.
Right.
So it was just kind of a second-tier product.
Sure.
SmackDown, when these have the brand extensions, you would have the Raw brand and then the SmackDown brand. And they had, like, legitimate battles. Like, SmackDown writers wanted to beat the Raw writers.
Completely different everything.
Yeah.
It was like watching a different...
When they got rid of the draft and got rid of the brand extensions, SmackDown kind of became like Thunder became for WCW, where you don't see John Cena, which a lot of people are probably happy about. But guess what? He's still
The
main guy out there. You don't see the storyline development. You see more wrestling, which the hardcore fan likes. They think it's a better wrestling product than Raw. But if you like the storyline developments and that kind of stuff, it's out. But I'm telling you, check out NXT if you haven't seen it yet. It's awesome. TNA, unfortunately, great talent over there, but that channel switches and the night switch. Forget the channel. I have Destination America. I know some people don't even have Destination America. You have to spend money if you have like certain tiers of cable. But I have heard, I haven't watched it religiously, but a friend of mine is a big TNA fan. He said that they had like 6 or 7 straight weeks of really good shows. They've got good characters too. But that night Friday night is just tough. Yeah. Kurt Angle, by the way, is the champion over there at 46 years old. I think Lashley, who we remember from WWE, Bobby Lashley, he just kind of got written off. MVP is over there.
Right.
Also, Drew McIntyre. He's now Drew Galloway. He's over there. So there are some pretty good characters and some good stories that are going on. It's just that night. It's on Destination America on Friday nights. And then they have the Saturday morning show, which kind of is an interesting show where it's almost like the MTV, a VH1 pop-up video where they have like things that pop up on the screen and they explain, different things. The announcers are in like a booth. They're not live. And they're kind of like showing them in a room like we're in right now, announcing. It's really interesting. They're kind of trying to giving you a behind-the-scenes look of how the show gets put together.
That's one good thing that TNA was always good at. Where they always had the backstage stuff.
They shoot at cool angles.
Different angles. They had a separate show that was just specific backstage, like afterthoughts or whatever, or the fallouts from different things. And that was one great thing about TNA.
You know, it's a shame that we live in this area. We don't get Ring of Honor. Which right now has a really good roster. I mean, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe's over there now. They've got the old Evan Bourne. I think his name's Matt Sydal.
Right.
In Ring of Honor.
Right.
They've got some really good characters. And I'm telling you, right now, there is no clear-cut number 2 behind WWE. It used to be TNA was clearly number 2.
Yeah.
Right. Distance. But now it's and with WWE, you get Raw on Mondays. You got NXT on Wednesdays. You got SmackDown on Thursdays. And if you don't have enough and you need a fix, you can go to the network at any time. So all these other federations that we used to call them, these organizations, it's like I don't really need you because I get my fix on the network if I want to. It's that network is really, and they're putting I think like 8 new or original series coming up on that network now. So. Hey, I'm not shilling. They're not paying me anything, but I love it. I love watching it. It's, you can put a guy's name in and be like, hey, I remember that match with Lesnar and Kurt Angle from WrestleMania. What was that, 16 maybe?
Something like that. Yeah.
I'm not good at remembering that.
That's
what you're good at.
Yeah, right. Well, today is a different story, but anyway, signing off for Pillar to Post. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at 97.3 ESPN, also at Tom Morgan 1049, and also hashtag Pillar 2 Post, and we'll get you all the latest updates. Of course, until next Monday, we're 2 weeks away before Extreme Rules already. Can you believe it? So we're looking forward to some decent matches. Hopefully, a few more character buildings and all good things. Yeah, and also again, leave comments down at the bottom if you like what's going on. Tell us some things you want us to talk about, and we'll continue we tape on Tuesdays. We try to drop it by Tuesday evening sometime. So check us back on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. He's Tom. I'm Mike. This is Pillar to Post on 97.3 ESPN's YouTube channel. Here we go again!